so the first thing we kind of touched on was the website, how easy it is to get to. You guys had a little bit of a difficulty pulling it up. I don't know if it's, the first thing was just making it like readily available, but our main points that we had discussed was, the first thing was the name isn't necessarily indicative of focus or what, what the nonprofit is looking to do. Atlantic Seaboard, while it is high in the alphabet, it doesn't really provide much in terms of the regional focus or really the mission of the group. We kind of recognize that there's a disjointed business and marketing focus. There's kind of a lot of things going on. No real focus on, where the resources need to be allocated, where we're getting money from, where it's going back out to. Most of the marketing and what's currently being done is driven by, word of mouth, direct mailings. If someone calls in because their child was just diagnosed with dyslexia, they call in and we try and get their phone number, their names, their email addresses, and just send them direct marketing. How effective that is, there aren't really any measurables. Kind of trying to gauge that is basically just the people on the ground getting responses. So there's no real way of indicating how effective any of these marketing campaigns have been. So there's the suffering from the lack of business focus at this point. And the main opportunity exists in these parents that are initially finding out about their child's diagnosis and really wanting to do something about it, learning more about what their kids are going through, how they can improve their quality of life, their educational experience, while they're still in school and learning. So that's kind of the current situation. So now we're going to talk about what we saw as opportunities.
Challenges/opportunities that we noticed, both in the marketing sense and how ASDEC is currently ran. They talked about, you mentioned that there's a stigma around dyslexia still, so that if they send out something to a private school, they might not want to see dyslexia written on it because the private school has a brand of excellence that might not be associated with this long-standing stigma. So now we've got disjointed marketing because we're renaming it when we send it out to the private schools, but then it's ASDEC on the website. And so basically the stigma is one of our main challenges to overcome. Also school unions, as far as are these schools going to be comfortable with whatever organization coming in and saying this is what we think's right. Obviously parents are passionate about the way their schools are ran and who's involved, and so ASDEC really needs to establish themselves as a brand in general so that these people trust them. Also, lofty goals for such a small size. Obviously when you're competing with Kaplan and other organizations that might not actually be doing or have the strengths that ASDEC does with all of their research, it's definitely hard for them to get the word out there and be #1 on the Google search and everything that we're kind of hoping for. So the audiences that we kind of want to focus on, he kind of mentioned that parents obviously are huge, because these people are going to be, the first ones to feel the pang, I guess, or not necessarily that, but just they're going to be sitting in the doctor's office when their child is potentially diagnosed, and so they're going to be more moved by the whole idea than their 8-year-old child might be, or other people in the community. So we want to effectively kind of mobilize the parents and get them, because we've noticed that they've been focusing on schools a lot, but schools aren't necessarily taking advantage of the opportunity. But if a parent goes into the PTA and goes off about how the school's not taking advantage of certain opportunities, they're going to make a difference. So if we get the parents involved, not only in bringing their children in, learning the programs, but also encouraging others, then that should make a huge difference. Also, trainings, as they mentioned before, just generally bringing them in, getting more awareness for them that they've completed a great program and that their certification means something, because we want the brand in general to mean something on their resume. And finally, just general goodwill in the community. Obviously, people who are potentially going to be donating are going to be just not necessarily associated with the needs, but you're going to want to know that where your money's going is great, and that'll get more people involved if there's just a general goodwill about ASDEC.
Josh mentioned a lot of the problems with ASDEC's current situation being the fact that we have really disparate messages and even disparate names for the organization, as sometimes they have to communicate themselves as being a multi-sensory training institute versus the name ASDEC and what that stands for. So that really just makes it really important for ASDEC to have a consistent brand and message, especially because ASDEC's goals, there are a variety of goals, right? They're not focused just on schools or just on families. So because of that, we found it really important to establish a brand for ASDEC and to establish a message that we can have a consistent approach when we talk about our marketing techniques. If we had to rewrite the current mission statement for ASDEC, I'm not sure what the current one is, we would write it to say, ASDEC strives to enhance the quality of life for the dyslexic community by offering highly customized and successful educational tools and techniques. We really want to emphasize here, as Shannon mentioned, the goodwill that ASDEC has for the community. It's not just that ASDEC wants to grow in size and have its name plastered on everything and have everyone know ASDEC as the preeminent training company, right? This is a nonprofit organization, and they really just want to make sure that they're making a difference, that they're improving life for dyslexic people using their tested and proven methods that are more efficient than others that are out there in the market. So we do want our message to be focused in on that goodwill, but also mention the value added that ASDEC has, being the tools and training techniques that other companies can't offer. So we'd like this brand and this message to be consistent across all audiences, even though we will be focusing on the dyslexic community, being the parents as the vehicles to propel that action with the schools and within the school districts that may be a little bit difficult to break into at this point. And we want that consistent brand and message just to be apparent in all of our marketing tools and techniques and methods, which Chris and Aaron are going to speak about now.
All right, yeah, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of our actual ideas for how to market and how to reach our audience. In order to keep costs low, big thing is just social media, our online thing as we kind of talked about. Getting a presence on Facebook and Twitter is very valuable, and also purchasing some ads on there. You can get a $100 ad and get it very customized to meet your specific audience, and that can be very effective. Blogging is also really good. Just again, with this kind of organization, it's good to get information out about what your mission is, the kind of services that you offer, and also connecting with those other individuals, because people who blog are generally more active in the community, might be more interested or more willing to participate in a program like this, or also reach out to other interested people. One of the things we also talked about doing is webinars. So recording some of your sessions and posting that on YouTube or something like that. Just kind of show people this is what the program is, get a taste for how that would go. And that could be just, once again, really effective in sharing your message and how that will all work out.
So, and then just to touch on the webinars a little bit, one of the ideas behind those, in addition to putting those online for people to actually, so you can sign up and not have to go and spend all this time in the classroom taking away from your current job, so you can do on the side when you have time, so it's more convenient for people to get involved and they have more of an ability to get involved. We thought about maybe putting those a little bit even on YouTube. That's just a simple way for marketing. People can see those, it might spark an interest, and then they can search for other things, which again would do a job of spreading the word about the ASDEC and what they really stand for and what they offer. Another thought we had, again, kind of keeping on the cheap side with the limited budget, is putting pamphlets in doctors' offices, as this tends to be the place where a lot of people get their parents get diagnosis of their children having dyslexia. Parents are going to be the one who are most interested in improving things and make things better for their kid. So if they get the information from the doctor's office in form of this pamphlet, we can kind of have those parents do what Shannon talked about and getting involved in a PTA session. I mean, there's really no better motivator for principals and people in schools to get this program installed than having a parent who's bugging them every day to get them involved. So, and then just, as we said, keeping things cheap, mailings will be emailed instead of letters, keeping down the price of stamps and paper and things like that. So, I mean, we thought with all the different methods combined, we can put those things together to kind of to get our message out there and then to try and tackle these challenges we've currently identified with ASDEC.